as
we have Jules here
we
on
have
set.
Monday morning beef. So
Monday morning beef. We have the intro. Let's see the intro.
well, we have a whole
It's
intro
a
for you now.
special, yes, it's a special,
Oh, it's a special now. Let's
There we
see
go.
meal
this.
that I cooked for you.
That like matches your hair, how it looks in the
My hair?
Yeah,
With
it
the
looks
egg
really-
yolk?
Yeah, in the egg yolk.
Hair.
Your hair looks really
Hair.
nice, and I think the ketchup matches your eyes. It's just like a whole look that you have.
I worked on it for weeks.
I could tell. I love that. No, I would share that. Just that alone, I would just share that because I
Yeah.
won't share the other video. But how are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling okay. You know how it
You
is.
enjoy this weather?
Still standing. I'm impervious to external stimuli, so when your skin is thickened by years of the beatings and harassments of public life, you don't even get cold anymore. You
He's
just
a good old-fashioned reptile. You don't have to worry about. We have the sheep over here and the reptile over here. Like,
What are you?
huh?
What are you?
I'm a child of God. But let's get into the conversation
Let's get
because we
started
always
with
get
this
talking and we have
Monday
a lot.
morning beef, so I won the name fight because I got
Jules,
an intro created.
Of course you all win the near fight. You that above my pay grade. Of course you all win.
Yeah, but you're on TV 10 hours a week. I'm on TV 10 minutes a week.
No, you don't have a whole uncut where you have to get back to when that season has started for sure.
It starts on Wednesday night.
This
Thanks
Wednesday,
for
right, yeah?
The perfect segue.
The rest of that?
Right, so Uncut resumes this Wednesday after too long a break, but 6 weeks is not too long.
Have you found your victim yet?
So the Minister of Education, Francis Fonseca, my highly respected senior minister, will be on. He's no victim at all. This is a man who knows how to handle himself in public
You
life.
know how
so-
to handle you. When
That's
you
how
got bark
handle
at
Jules.
he'll give you the
Yes.
same beef to make you relax. Right?
Exactly, just throws the
Perfect.
beef in front of me.
So I'm looking forward to that. So guys, you heard it here. Uncut premieres back again this Wednesday. And Minister Fonseca has the beautiful hot seat with Jules. And the beef will continue.
Indeed.
But now let's get into our hot talk and our conversation. So let's talk a little bit about the testing free zone. Why not have it for schools?
So I will use that to make a slight pivot. We see that another 14-year-old was shot. So I'm not talking about the free zones yet, but about schools. Another 14-year-old was shot. He's the adult who was killed in that murder. We don't at this point have a picture of the 14-year-old, but it's super important, and it ties into schools. So this year already,
Yeah.
last year we had those 12 children killed, or 12 minors killed, and this year we've had one killed and one, he was critical on Friday,
Yeah.
the 14-year-old. And so it leads us to talk about schools. We see the testing in the free zone, and we see how it can be done in mass, in bulk. They've had 246 positive cases in the workers at the zone, 173 one day, and I'm sorry, it's 220 plus.
Yeah.
And then it was 42 on the Friday. I'm saying that it's important, but you have to realize that when you're in a free zone, you are putting yourself perhaps in harm's way.
Yeah.
Because your Mexicans are coming over. I don't know who was right now. We're Mexico because we're both having surging Omicron rates. I'm saying that if you can do this type of organized testing in the free zone, we can do it for schools, not individual schools, but school zones,
Okay.
right? Because the schools are already broken down into zones. They can do it in those zones and have the various schools from that area come and do mass testing.
So how do
It's
you want the
important.
testing to even take place? Though, would it be something that happens every month, bi-weekly? Like, what would you believe the testing should look like?
Well, I think if you have 4 zones, you can do it over a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying that it's important. I know it's a concern of COVID in schools, but that, again, I insist is overblown. I mean, we're not talking about COVID at the tourism village,
Yeah. Oh,
right? Where, you know what I'm saying, in terms of, we know that these cruise tourists are coming in, And I mean, the Norwegian gem, which was going on a Caribbean cruise, is now stuck at sea. It's supposedly going to New York. The cruise has been canceled because it just had so much COVID by then. I like, we can't even contain this. So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we are so, and I understand we want to protect children, but we are so, there's a deliberate agenda, I believe, to sort of demonize schools as these COVID incubators.
Yeah.
When it's in the community, it's ubiquitous in the community.
Yeah.
And it's such almost a deliberate attempt to take school away.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just again, I'm repeating myself, but because children have no social voice, and I just think it's the worst thing. So
Yeah.
I like the testing they did in zone, but it shows the political clout of the
Right.
Corozal Free Zone. And again, the voiceless children, the voiceless schools don't have that.
Yeah.
Think about doing mass testing for schools. If you can do it twice in that week for the free zone, they did it twice in that week for the Corozal Free Zone. That's the economic clout the free zone has and the political clout.
Yeah, that's the
being
thing
from
that
the north.
they're focused on testing the free zone, testing at the tourist village, because that's where all this international
Economic
yeah,
activity.
that's what it's happening.
But if the priority is to save, if it's to keep children safe, well then test the schools. No, it's
Exactly.
to keep children at home.
Right, and
You know?
and schools are not in a silo
the
either
whole-
because parents
No.
work at the free zone, parents work at the tourist village, and they're coming home and then they're taking COVID to the schools.
Right,
Like,
but then the schools are the bad thing. Nah, man.
yeah, I mean it's not
Yeah.
in an island. It's definitely
Right,
not an
of
island.
course, of
Would you
course.
say like the false reporting is kind of provoking people to be afraid when it comes to the schools?
Yes, it
And,
is.
and as compared to like economic development and us doing tourism, us doing the free zone, like there's this fear more for schools as
Yes,
compared
and
to
obviously children are involved and people are so protective. We are all protective of our children. But at the same time, if this is the world we're living in, where we're moving around, where we're doing everything,
yeah.
and we have to take our children with us, then we have to allow school to happen because we will reap the whirlwind
Yeah.
in 10 years when
That
we
is
have
so
a
true.
generation of people who cannot work, who do not know how to work.
Yeah. So the question there is, are we really protecting our children? Because as adults, we're interacting out there
Of
and then
course.
exposing our kids, but then we do not see how our behavior is contributing to it.
Right.
So are we really protecting them?
No, it's just lip service.
And then and we all see this, because I'm sure you guys walk on the streets or in your neighborhood and you see kids that run around with other kids too as well. And then they live their best life, just the
Right.
all over the place. So when you really think about looking, like condemning schools, they're gonna be in this environment, blah, 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 etc. Look, you said it last week, and it's the same thing I think it comes here, that we're just looking at schools and we're not doing it in a sense that it's a controlled environment. We can be able to get behind this thing in a way. And parents have a lot to do with what happens with this spread when it comes to their children a lot. We think that we're getting more in schools as compared to get it outside right from home. When you go and buy some bread and you bring it in home. Buy the bread and buy the Omicron at the same time.
And that's
Some bad
and,
say
you
like
know,
that, but
yeah,
that's
yeah,
true.
but it's just, you know, Omicron is multiplying so fast. We have seen Belize's infection rate reach successive new records last week. Not only the infection rate, sorry, I should say the number of active cases.
Yeah.
Reached successive new records last week, and that's the world we're living in now. And we got to live with it, we got to manage it, and we have to accept that hospitalizations, we have to be very grateful, hospitalizations remain stable, and the number of deaths has not surged. We have to be very grateful for those things.
I remember what I said, not pound wood 3 times for that, because
Yeah, of course, right?
One,
Yeah,
two, three.
yeah, 1, 2, 3, extra one. I brought up, but
that's how you brought out 1/5 one. But
indeed.
there is definitely a lot to take into consideration. I'm definitely sure this is going to come up in your conversation
That's what I
with
was
Minister
thinking too.
Fonseca. I tell you,
Right.
he better hold on tight. But he's a senior minister, so
He's a
he
senior
should be able to divert you at all times. So it should be very fun to see that
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
But moving right on, because we have a lot to discuss and limited time, we don't want to run up on time, and then Jules will say, wait, no, go. Yes, because we know what you do sometimes, you know. I would not
Wow.
cut you off, because Ellis wouldn't be so mean. He'll cut we off, but he not cut you off.
Wow.
So moving right on, let's talk about the new travelers insurance windfall. Do you think that will be something that flies when it comes to travelers and, you know, what they get to come here to Belize?
Well, the issue with this traveler's insurance is that the first thing we have to look at, it's a windfall. You're creating 5 to 10 million US dollars out of nowhere, right? Yes, other countries have, I think Bahamas has, I know I have personally paid it in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So it wasn't 18 US, it was probably 10, but I'm just saying we know, I think I've heard Turks and Caicos has for 10 US.
Okay.
I'm saying that, yes, countries have this, and in the age of COVID, it's
necessary.
understandable, but I'm saying 5 to 10 million US dollars is being created for a private insurance company or companies.
Yeah.
And I want to stress this because there are some that say, well, they're going back into the economy. No, this is bought via an app that is paid for in the US or in North America with a credit card, and it goes to a bank account there. That's how these things work. We like to praise tourism, but a lot of tourism's money never comes to Belize because the bookings are made abroad. You have a counterpart US account, and that's where the money goes. And that's where this 10 million US dollars will go. We have Lord Ashcroft, a man who has, let us say, has never lost in his dealings with the government of Belize. I think the ultimate value he got for BTL was 4 times the actual value, but that's another matter. I trust its profits go to the government of BTB. Lord Ashcroft tweeted on Friday. It does not. So how many tourists in a year? Say 400,000 at US 18 per person is US 7.2 million. Payout will be next to nothing in comparison, so where's the profit going? Trust it's the government. I am not invoking Lord Ashcroft as any type of moral authority on
yeah, but the fact that he's raising the eyebrow is like, where's this money gonna go to?
Well, it also, you know, there's a song that says, "You've always made a profit, baby, whether it was a famine or a feast." And I will leave Lord Ashcroft to that. Yeah. But certainly, the significance of that is that when he raises an eyebrow, he does it directly to the government of Belize. Let us not forget that the Minister of State and the Ministry of Finance is his former employee. Yeah. Chris Coy used to work for many years at the Belize Bank. So certainly, Lord Ashcroft is being heard, and there is pushback against this. And the question is, will it fly? Because, again, there are packages like this in other countries. It's not unprecedented. And I have heard through a back channel that one US dollar is going to Ministry of Tourism, another is going to Ministry of Health. But I have not seen that in any of the official communication. Okay. If they want to start talking about that, perhaps it will become more palatable. But at this point, whenever such a windfall is created, you know, there's a lot of money to go around, brother. And my experience in politics, I'm not imputing any motive on anyone, but my experience in politics is whenever a profit is made, a private profit is made from a public initiative, there are incentives and considerations involved. I am not saying that, but that is happening in this case. But that is my sound experience. There used to be a uniform rule in politics that I have observed in Belize in the past. Okay. For every civil works contract or road works contract, you give me a 10%. You give me an amount. That's standard operating procedure. I have witnessed it. I have known it to be the case. So whenever large windfalls are created that don't ever land, much of it will never see the shores of Belize, right? Because, as I say, it's banked abroad, so no one will ever miss it, no one will ever see it.
Jules, why do you think the Ministry of Health did not bank on this? Because I recall there was a time where this tourist that had a stroke or a heart attack out at sea, and then there was this whole thing that we need to start involving health and tourism. I recall Dr. Russell Manzanero was working in that area, and they were meeting with different tourism stakeholders, trying to bring up these different health conversations. Why don't you think they banked on this, talking about health, talking about insurance, and it brings profit to the government?
It is clear that the Ministry of Health is not interested in making money because the people who are running it or who have run it in the past, and I will be non-specific in terms of the regime, but in terms of if you hand over all the testing or you market out all the testing to private contractors.
Which they've done.
Which which they've done for enormous profits. Enormous profits. Again, windfalls created enormous profits. I understand it was felt that the Ministry of Health did not have the flexibility or the adaptability to undertake a large a testing drive like that. Well, we did do it the civic any damn way, right? So I'm saying that remember, the government is a business, but it's an enterprise for politicians. And I have seen that for 30 years.
So on that note, do you think that the government, well, the state, is trying to protect the COVID testing cartel?
What a word to use, the COVID testing cartel.
I mean, like, when you think about it, because it's become something of that magnitude. Like, it started off, like, slowly with, COVID testing is free, basically. And then all of a sudden, it just, bam, hit. You have to pay. And then after that, people like, you have to pay to make sure you go out to travel. So that's a mandatory cost that you have to incur. When you come in back as well, you have to pay for that. And so now it's like...
And if you want like a rapid test that's in a short amount of time, you have to go to a private entity as well.
Huge profits made. So
that's a lot of money getting just like come out of people's pockets just like that. And if you want to do your travel, so you have to pay the money. They're not if
it's a massive profit scheme for the health industry, the private health industry. And I want to stress private because there was someone who posted on Friday, and guys, I think we have this post, and I'll pull it up here on my phone. Gretchen Smith posted that a small stamp makes millions of dollars. A small red stamp with the text "not valid for travel" on the free COVID-19 test ensures that millions of dollars in sales are made with the tests in the private sectors. Cancelled by the red stamp, people have to buy another test to travel, which then costs. I had sent that into your mail this morning, James. Cancelled by the red stamp. People have to buy another test to travel, which then costs $150 billion more. So the test you get from the Ministry of Health, it says not valid for travel.
Yeah.
So now, even if you to do it on the same day, that forces you to go and pay whichever private enterprise you must, $150 minimum to take a test. It is extremely sinister. It is extremely. It is simply a scheme to enrich the COVID testing cartel, and I believe there is a cartel where the ability to secure these tests, because there's high competition internationally, it's not something the Ministry of Health can do. You've got to be nimble. You have to be cashy. You've got to have a lot of disposable income to capture those tests and bring them in, and then you create a virtual monopoly in the market. And that's where great profits are made. But then when the state apparatus is conspiring to further enrich that already cashy scheme, it is a concern. Yeah. It really is a concern. Yeah. So it's something that has to be looked at, as well as this. So there it is. We found it. Not valid for travel. So that's when you do a public test. It says it so clearly there, not valid for travel, which forces you to go on and get one for travel. A concern. And as the poster so beautifully said, one stamp makes millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So tricky and really, it's on the edge of being sinister. Along that line, on January 21st, 2021, the Ministry of Health and Wellness received a donation of antigen tests from the Embassy of Taiwan. I challenge the Ministry of Health to tell me where those tests are and that they're not locked up in the vaccine building in Belmopan, not being used. There's the test being received. I challenge them. I would be happy if I am wrong, but I suspect I am right. Why would I be right? Why would those tests not be used? Well, maybe someone will say the tests aren't validated.
Yeah.
But then that
They're giving the opportunity to the cartel.
give the opportunity to the cartel, and under the best rule there is urgent procurement practices.
Yeah.
Once you go to urgent procurement, once you run out,
Yep.
you have to go to urgent procurement. Once you go to urgent procurement, you do not have to go to open tender. Once you do not have to go to open tender, the enterprise of politics is in action.
Yeah.
Right? So that is very sinister. So I challenge them to tell me, to show me that those tests have been used. I would be happy to be wrong, but I am another talk out of the back of my head. I am reliably informed that those tests did not make it into the system and that they are happily stored. I wish we could
In
go.
the same box, possibly?
I wish we could go examine the vaccine building. Somebody must say, and they work with it right now.
Yeah,
working to bring
but
them
there
up.
was allegations that the private companies that were conducting these rapid tests were at some point related to the former minister of health. I'm not sure if there was any confirmation that
Yeah,
was.
and there's no confirmation, and I can't go there.
Right.
Those are just rumors, and
Right.
and I don't personally believe that is the case. I've heard those rumors, but I don't personally believe
Okay.
that is the case. But there are certainly my experience in the Ministry of Health, and not just under the last Minister of Health, under the previous Minister of Health as well. Emergency procurement is a popular technique. All right? Under the previous UDP Minister of Health, this is how the thing set up. And I am telling you, what is the fly in this ointment? There is no transparency. Until there is transparency, these people will continue to run a racket.
Definitely.
Successive governments, PUDP, they will always run a racket until you post every contract, you post every award. Then only then can we know. Because we have to do the work. Then we have to go do a title search every damn company in there and see who's who in the zoo.
Yeah.
It's super important, and they will not do that. I asked the Prime Minister to do it at our media breakfast. Create an open government portal, post everything. It is not your business. I'm repeating myself, I won't. So, but you know, and this brings us to the new health CEO, Julio Sabido. He is the former chair of the tendering, he's the chair, not the former chair, the chair of the tendering committee.
Okay.
He is now the CEO. Sir, open the books. Let us see who got what tender and for how much. It is not your business, it is our business.
Yeah.
So I challenge the new CEO, and I hope we soon have a press encounter with him. The minister has made sparkling commitments to openness, availability, and transparency. If he is true to his word, may Kevin Bernard rule forever the Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
If he is true to his word. If he is not true to his word, there will be liquid lightning served upon him. Because
No, it's so true.
no, but I'm saying that it's been going on for too long, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. And you know, it's like what Fidel Castro said of the Cuban Missile Crisis. We were in the antechamber of the apocalypse, and we were cracking peanuts. Because both he and JFK, he reflected, were very young. That's the same thing. We are in the middle of a crisis, and we to play with, boy, he can get that, how much that? Boy, we have to watch that, he shouldn't have me get that. We are playing games, and it's with public health and people's lives. It's so cynical, and it is so sinister. So, Kevin Bernard, I take you at your word, my brother, and I hope that you can live up to the transparency and tell your CEO, open the books and show the contracts. There is reliable information that the Ministry of Health has in fact expended available funds for it will need a new budget to get through the rest of the year, because so much stuff has to be gotten, and there's no money available. You know, as one senior public officer put it, that the former minister left the ministry broken and broke. Right? I know we spoke at length
May use
about
some money from the cartel.
Hey, we spoke about Michel Shabbat last week, and you know he created a very toxic environment at the Ministry of Health, and people really felt that you have to understand these are public officers, right? And so you know it's really a dysfunctional the Ministry of Health at the time of greatest demand is coming out of a very dysfunctional phase. And I hope that Kevin Bernard, the new minister, can re-engage them in a productive way. But his choice of a CEO is a divisive choice. Public service, not easy to deal with, my brother. Public servants, not easy to deal with. And he is leapfrogging many to become the CEO. And he has not a stellar reputation because he is seen as a facilitator to former Minister Shabbat, as an enabler to former Minister Shabbat. He was, I believe, amongst the last high-level technical allies that Minister Shabbat had. Because of this, he earned a bad reputation, or I should say not earned a bad reputation, he incurred quite a lot of ill will within the ministry, people who did not like Minister Shabbat. And because he was around with Minister Shabbat, a lot of negativity was generated around him. So he will now have to fight back against that in order to gain the confidence of the public officers, because public officers can create a lot of pushback. So the choice has been a disappointment to many. He's a junior medical officer, but we all wish him the best. I'm not trying to start him off on a wrong foot. Yes, he has not, to my knowledge, held a supervisory post in the Ministry of Health, and now he is the biggest supervisor. But let's hope he has the wherewithal to do it. There are, as I said, there is a fair deal of skepticism, both internally and externally, but the stories I've heard of Dr. Julio Sabiro is that he's a resourceful man, and he also has proven over time that he's able to insinuate himself into the confidence of powerful people. So hopefully he uses those people's skills. I will mention that I believe he is a relative of Danine Contreras, Erwin Contreras as well. And she was one of the first up against the wall when the new government was elected.
Yes.
And so it's interesting. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Julio Sabiro is an interesting
We'll see how
guy.
it plays out. I mean,
Right.
and like you rightly said, let's keep Minister Bernard to his word.
But it's a really good sign that he's bringing back, he said publicly, he's bringing back epidemiologist Dr.
Russell Manzanero.
Manzanero.
So he's coming back from the
Not
poll.
Marvin, we're stressing, Russell, right? Russell is the last epidemiologist we had left. Dr. Agar went to Europe to study, I believe.
Yep.
So Russell is the last, and when you're in a health crisis, you need an epidemiologist.
Right.
To constantly analyze the trends and the data. We have so much going on with COVID, and nobody has been able to tell us, okay, the Omicron wave is peaking, is plateaued, is on its way down. We've seen the worst of it. There's none of this said. And these are important public health information
Definitely.
signposts. That he was exiled to the Central Health Region to an inconsequential, non-specific post is indicative of the level of vindictiveness which the former administration at the Ministry of Health.
Or a cover-up?
I don't know. I just think it was just a kind of administrative Siberia.
Okay.
Send them to the Gulag. Central Health Region as the Gulag.
The vaccination room is cold enough.
Right, exactly. But it's very encouraging that he's being brought back. I have to praise these public officers for showing such stamina, commitment, and patience.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to be at work doing nothing, not doing what they've trained so many years for. So I praise these people, and I hope that, I believe that bringing him back will make a difference, certainly in the flow of information. I know that the Ministry of Health has been relying on other epidemiologists because it had none. It had one, but they may exile the man, and the next one gone got studied. So they had been having to ask other epidemiologists in the public health sector who do not work in the epi unit
Okay.
to assist in the analysis and the crunching of data. That's how bad it was when you got one right there. But anyway, that's over. They brought him in from the cold, and it's exciting. It's encouraging.
Definitely
Certainly
it
it's
is.
encouraging.
Definitely is.
Definitely is. I feel there's a lot under the sun, but we've run out of time, sadly.
One more thing before I go. Commission
sir,
of Inquiry.
yes,
No, but it's going to be
I tell them,
interesting
right?
this
I
week.
tell them what you do.
Commission of Inquiry will be challenged in court. I know there are many cheerleaders for Andrew Marshall-X Commission of Inquiry. Well, I know that Hugo Pat has retained, I believe it's Attorney Dean Barrow, his former leader, to challenge the Commission of Inquiry, which did I think that the chairman has declared that the commission exists in perpetuity, because even though he submitted his report, and the government has made much of it, repeating some extremely, I believe, defamatory and slanderous things in his press release, which were in the report, which I shan't repeat, because, I mean, you can't accuse people of accepting inducements without proof. Anyway, they have certain indemnity as commissioners, but I believe he will challenge them this week in the Supreme Court of Belize for malice, for bias, and I would not be surprised if other UDP ministers got involved as well.
Jump in that wagon.
I saw it'll be an interesting week where they are going to the Supreme Court to challenge the findings of this Commission of Inquiry, where the commissioner, I believe, has almost accepted that he overstepped or that he made certain assertions without proof, because he made assertions without questioning people. And I know the case of Godwin Holtz, for example. He made an assertion, and I believe they're following up with Mr. Holtz now to get his side of the story. Aye, man.
Hot waters.
Yeah.
Hot waters.
No, I take it because they like to accuse journalists of recklessness and how no do this and how no do that, man, but man.
You're hurt, Jules. I could tell this strike
No,
on your nerve,
because,
man.
you know, anyway, make us stop.
All right, we'll stop here because we have Honorable Henry Charles Usher here, ready to tell us a lot about the portfolio that has just been given to him. And so with that,
It's not a portfolio, it's a responsibility.
well, another responsibility
Did they-
added on to a portfolio of many
It was
different
just
hats.
put into the release to just soften the whole me shut.
I mean, you know what? That is a part of my question. So that definitely will be addressed when we get back. So stay tuned. We have a lot in store for you. You don't want to miss.